Mitch here with Steve Monahan for our college football preview show. Of course, we got a few college football preview shows to do. We got this week, then we got next week for the championship games. Then we have our bowl preview show coming up, where we're gonna break it out into a couple different ones. The before, the before Christmas games, the after Christmas games, the games no one cares about, the why are they in a bowl games,
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We follow a lot of college football. That's an understatement. But when we look at some of the records of these teams, I don't see how we get to enough teams to fill the bowl games as far as bowl eligibility. I just don't see the numbers there. So I'm going to guess. I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard murmurs or anything. It's murmuring out there.
Not a heart murmur, a murmur.
So not so coincidentally, right? So you see this. Well, I didn't want to show that side, but this came to my house. I can't even make this thing up. It's a one-day seminar on bad attitudes and negative behaviors. You can't make this stuff up. You just can't even make this up, This seriously came to my house in the mail. You can see, there's the mail thing. Where it came. It's like, seriously, this was in my mailbox.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what are they charging? Is it a free seminar or?
Look, is it your job to supervise any of these characters? The excuse artist, the shortchanger, the intimidator, the gossip, the clod, the master procrastinator, the downer.
Check.
This one, everyone's worked with this guy. The minimalist, the apathetic, low-performing, and unmotivated. The soap star, their continuing soap opera of personal problems not only hurts their own productivity, but distracts sympathetic coworkers.
Wow.
The itch, the need for constant attention, reassurance, and feedback. Smartypants, challenges your management authority openly. I think I'm most of these. I think I'm definitely the Smartypants and the itch. I'm definitely not the excuse artist.
Love the Smartypants. I haven't heard Smartypants in a long time.
Oh yeah, challenges your management authority openly and forcefully. Constantly questions management decisions and creates harmful undercurrent of anti-management chatter. Is that some anti-management chatter right here out there? It's a 9 to 4 seminar, and
when is that? When is that seminar on Comedy Central?
It is. When is this? 15 ways this seminar pays. It's $149 a person.
Okay.
Only $139 if you got a group of 5 or more. It fills in fast.
Refreshments being offered up by the guru.
It's available. Oh, here it is. They have it. It's January 17th in Lahaina, but this is a traveling show. It's in California at many different places: Louisiana, Mississippi, Oregon, and Washington. It's here in Lahaina, actually, right where they're having the basketball tournament. Not the same place, but it's at the Best Western Pioneer Inn in Lahaina, which my guess is probably the most expensive Best Western in the world. It's got to be up there.
Location.
Yeah, there's a Best Western that they just built down the street about 2 years ago, and I think it runs about $569 a night. But anyways, let's get to this week's college football. It is the final week of the regular season. Bowl eligibility to be decided, grudges to be settled, ill will. You got it kind of runs the gamut here. We've got just about every emotion playing out, and fan bases that absolutely hate each other's guts.
It's pretty much the last week of kind of like a full slate too, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. Because next week's championship week, and then it's just the bowl games. So for a lot of these guys, This is the last game they'll ever play.
This is it. This is where the head coaches really got to rally the troops.
We saw it last night with Northern Illinois, and just leave it all out on the field. There is no tomorrow. We also saw it with Akron deciding to just lay down one more time for everybody. 0-12 on the season.
Those are our zips.
0.0 winning percentage. They blew Tarski'd the season.
Well, it's apropos, the zips of Akron, right?
Yep. We're going to the Egg Bowl here. Mississippi State hosting Ole Miss on Thanksgiving night. This used to be Texas A&M on Thanksgiving night as well, but it's the Egg Bowl, Mississippi State and Mississippi. Mississippi State 5-6 on the season here in the post-Dan Mullen era. They need a win to get B-Bowl eligible. You know who would love to ruin that for them? The Ole Miss Rebels would love to be hoisting that trophy.
Yep.
Got
Rebels versus Bulldogs.
2.5-point spread here for the home team. There'll be cowbells ringing. Total set of 58. Steve, any thoughts here on the Egg Bowl?
Yeah, I like Mississippi State here. I think Mississippi State's the better team.
I'm gonna go the other side. I really hate the quarterback play at Mississippi State. I find it pitiful, and some of the worst efforts I've seen all season long have come from the Mississippi State quarterback position. I'm going to take Ole Miss here. Hotty totty, the whole 9 yards here. And the dog in this series.
Coach. I mean, you got a Northeast guy coaching in Mississippi, post Dan Mullen, like you said, but I think Joe Moorhead's a good coach.
This is one of those rivalry games that the dog owns. And it's always like the big upset. Like Dak Prescott lost at Mississippi State Egg Bowl. I mean, this is one that the dog owns. The dog has covered the spread 5 of the last 7 Egg Bowls, and the road team has covered in the last 4. I think all those trends stick with this one. When I hear Egg Bowl, I think upset. We go to the next game. Virginia Tech and Virginia. Who would have thought Virginia Tech was going to be 8-3 when they got rung up by Duke earlier this season at home, right? All of a sudden, then they squeak by Miami in a thriller. Back a game where they blow a 28-point lead and then end up scoring a touchdown late to win it. Now all of a sudden, last week they looked like world beaters against Pitt. I mean, they put the hammer down in Bud Foster's last home game as defensive coordinator for Virginia Tech. Bud Foster, Frank Beamer.
Oh my God! How long's Bud been the defensive coordinator? It's got to go. It's got to be 25 to 30.
You've seen the lunch pail. It ain't pretty, It's been through the war. It's been through the ringer. But Bud Foster, kind of like he's kind of like, I think Bud Foster is to college football what Leo Mazzoni was to baseball. Where he just was the pitching coach, and he just. They never really was the manager or anything like that, but let's just say Greg Maddox, Tom Glavine, it goes on and on and on. The one constant was him.
Bud Foster's coached a lot of good defensive players
and defenses. This is his last regular season game, and it's.
I got to think Bruce Smith is his all-time greatest player, right?
I think he's up there. I would say it's Bruce Smith, but he's also had some other guys as well. The corner that was on the Redskins for a while.
I know who you're drawing a blank, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, they've had a lot of good players actually on defense. So
yeah.
Also guys that you might not be household names, but guys that had long NFL careers like Sorensen.
Yep.
So.
But the game's at Virginia. They're both 8-3, I think, coming into this game, right?
Yep.
Yep. I'm going to take Virginia here at home. I'll take Bronco Mendenhall rallying his troops here. And I know it's Bud's swan song, but I'll go with Virginia at home.
I'm taking the Hokies. These guys are so hot. I know Virginia has been great at home this season. When you look at their losses, they're 3. I know I can name 2 of them off the top of my head. And one was at Miami and the other one was at Notre Dame. But 6-0 straight up at home for Virginia. But the Hokies 3-1 against the number on the road. I like the way Virginia Tech's playing. I'm going to stick with them. We're just going to go still with the mainstream games here. We're going to skip through those MAC games. We'll do those on our Free for All Friday segment. But Texas hosting Texas Tech. Texas Tech 4-7 this season. has there ever been a better 4-7 team? No, I don't know. But the Longhorns 6-5. Steve has been a big Tom Herman guy, real big. And do you think that Texas paid that kind of money for 6-5?
No, not after year 2. No.
Lost to Oklahoma. A loss to Baylor in an embarrassing fashion. Loss to TCU.
I'm willing to give Tom Herman one more year to get another year of recruits in. And if he doesn't right the ship to what Texas standards are, listen, we always laugh about the oil barons ball. They'll be passing that hat around and they'll be finding a new coach. But I'll take Texas here. I
like Texas Tech. I'm getting 10 points with the Red Raiders. Tom Herman has shown me nothing, and I think they're going to be showing him the door sooner rather than later. I think he gets one more year, but I'll tell you, if there's another game like that LSU game next year, oh boy!
I think Tom Herman knows he's got to win this and win it big and go into the offseason.
I'll tell you what, man, they lose.
I'll put faith in Herman for one more year.
Was that LSU? Now, one thing I want to look at for Texas. Was that LSU game a home and home? Because do they go to Death Valley next year? Because they could Belima him on that one and fire him before he gets to the locker room. If it's a similar performance.
I'm sure he has a similar Belima contract that we were laughing about a couple weeks ago.
I don't think he has as good of contract as him, but actually, yes, on September 12th of next year at LSU. But Burrow will be gone. We know that. Yep. But they'll have LSU is going to have a good team. We know that, right? But
and they do every year. For the
I say they lose that game in a bad fashion, like the way they looked last week. It's not even that they lose. It's like that game last week at Baylor. They got slaughtered. They got stomped. And
again, I agree. Herman is absolutely unnoticed. And but it's still Texas. I know Texas Tech has been on fire. We just got a quote, Jungle Boy. I get it. Texas Tech's been playing well, but Texas has the superior athletes. They got to win. I know it's 10.5 points. I think Texas makes a statement here.
I don't know. I
like Sam Ellinger.
I see a home and home here in 2022 and 23 with Alabama. I don't think Herman makes it to that.
Yeah, we'll have that discussion next year.
Yeah, we'll have it after the LSU game as he gets bullied.
Oh yeah,
it'll be one of these.
Coach, can we see you over here for a minute?
This situation is no longer mutually beneficial. It's like,
that's great.
What are you trying to tell me here?
Right. Now, Tom, you're still going to get your $15 million buyout. Don't worry about it. Thank you for everything you've done for the Longhorn program.
Arkansas taking on Missouri in this one. Missouri getting the bad news that their bowl ban has been upheld for this season. So, win or lose, it's all over for Mizzou. 5-6 on the season. Kelly Bryant, it's all over his college career. I don't see him sticking. I see him as a guy coming in and getting a tryout with an NFL team as a free agent and not sticking. Or he could be like a Deshaun Kaiser who kind of floats around for a year or two and maybe sticks. I'm not really sure. But
I can see him making a roster as a third quarterback or practice squad guy and bounce around.
He's no worse than Haskins. He's no worse.
Absolutely. I agree with that. But that being said, Missouri just got the news about the ban. I think they're the better team. Arkansas has been awful all year. I'll take Missouri.
So when we look at these teams, right, Virginia Tech are in. If Mississippi State loses, right, they're 5-7, and Ole Miss will be 5-7. So, like I'm saying, we have real limited bowl teams here. Arkansas against Missouri. Arkansas is 2-9. They're not going bowling. Missouri, they're not going bowling. So here's another one. Okay, here's another one. Iowa against Nebraska. Nebraska's 5-6. If they lose, they go to 5-7. Iowa 8-3. 73% of the public is on Iowa here. They're laying 5.5 points. I think Nebraska is not a prayer in this game. I think
neither do I. I love Iowa here.
Love Iowa. I'm going to asterisk it. So those of you that are watching this,
I really miss the. You and I. I think our audience has seen enough of us, but we remember the. Post-Thanksgiving, the Oklahoma-Nebraska game, right? We used to love that, but of course, Nebraska going to the Big Ten, it's not going to happen anymore.
Doug Flutie throw happened the day after Thanksgiving.
That's right.
What people leave out is that Miami defense averaged allowing 48 points a game that season, but that's besides the point.
Okay, it still doesn't take away from the throw.
I love Iowa in this game, and Nebraska at 5-7. How long is the leash on Scott Frost? Generally, a drop more patient at this point at Nebraska than they were. But let's just say, Turner Gill still leaves a little bit of a bad taste in their mouth because he was another coach.
Scott, I think the leash is long on Scott Frost. He was a good Cornhusker player.
So is Turner Gill.
Oh, I know. Turner Gill was a really good.
Right. Turner Gill was the same thing. He came from a smaller program and had huge success at Buffalo. Had an innovative offense, came to Nebraska and laid an egg. Scott Frost is doing the same thing here. He hasn't had time to get his players in to run.
That's exactly my point.
I think at the end of next year.
The leash is at least, I would say, 2 years.
If we're sitting here next year and he's 5-6 again going into this game, I think we're going to hear the conversation that he's not, win or lose, he's going to be gone.
Right. Things will be so bad in Nebraska that they may consider Christian Peter to be the head coach. One of the biggest derelicts to.
If you don't hire me, I'll punch you in the face.
Well, you know what? Maybe that's what they need to turn it around.
If you mention the word extortion, I'll have your legs broken.
That's it. Jesus Christ, Carmine.
We got Memphis up against Cincinnati. Cincinnati, the breeding ground of head coaches at the college level for the big jobs, right?
Right.
Luke Fickell was the interim coach for Jim Tressel when he stepped down, even though he had no idea what was going on.
But he's the defensive coordinator at Ohio State under him.
I love the way when Tressel was like, "Oh, I didn't know." It's like, so that makes it okay then, right?
Exactly.
It's like, and Kirk Herbstreit gets on the air, the Ohio State guy, and he's like, by no means does that make it okay. It's like, he's like, I'm an Ohio State guy, and by no means does this make this okay at all. It's like,
that's right. I agree.
Cincinnati here, Luke Fickell. I think he, greener pastures. Does he stay at Cincinnati? How long does he stay? We've seen him at Ohio State.
I think Luke Fickell needs to do this one more year, and then I think he's in line for a big job.
I would say the interim job at Ohio State probably hurts him here more than helps him because he didn't perform well there, but he was not given a lot to work with, and it wasn't like he had the team in the offseason to prepare going into the season. It was kind of like, okay, now you're the coach type thing. And it was just a weird thing, but he is a good enough coach that when Urban Meyer took over at Ohio State, he kept him. He was the interim coach, and normally the interim coach and everybody else gets fired.
That's right.
Meyer said, "No, you'll go right back to where you were because that's good enough." And Cincinnati has done well with Ohio State defensive coordinators coming over with Mark D'Antonio. Coaching at Cincinnati after being the Ohio State defensive coordinator. Now he's been at Michigan State forever, but maybe Luke Fickell's headed there. I don't know.
You know what? That's actually not a bad scenario because I'm hearing tea leaves that D'Antonio may leave Michigan State, and that job may be open after 15 years.
I'm just throwing it out there.
That's a logical landing spot, actually.
This is what I do. I have a gift. I start rumors.
I see dead people.
I see Fickles. Anyways, we got.
That's a good game, Cincinnati-Memphis, right? I think they're both 10-1. I think it's 10.5 spread here.
11.5.
11.5. I'll take. I think Memphis wins the game, but I'll take the points in Cincinnati here.
I don't like that Memphis defense, and I think
Neither do
Cincinnati
I.
plays a hard defense, and we've seen Cincinnati have good success against Central Florida that I think is a similar team to Memphis. I think that's
Right.
the similarity, and they know. We know in the past the teams that have beaten Memphis, especially in Memphis, you got to hit them in the gut. You know, you got to hit them in the gut because these guys, they will run all over you. I mean, I don't know where they get these running backs. And, like, Henderson doesn't really play on the Rams, which doesn't make any sense to me. But, I mean, and how about Jared Goff? Oof. Anyways,
Now, let's talk about Jared Goff. You know what? I am... I'm starting to eat some crow here. I mean, he's looking as bad as you have said.
Oh,
I
was sugarcoating.
I'm trying to think of a quarterback, right? And again, you said he stinks at Cal. I disagreed. I thought he was worthy of the
Let's
number
look
one.
at his record.
Right, but he had a tough rookie year, as any NFL quarterback would have. I thought he did very well last year. I thought he was progressing. But can't remember a quarterback that progressed that one year and seemed a regression back to just, oh my God, like deer in the head.
It's easy. I mean, it's easy to figure out. It's like, look at the payroll that the Rams put into last year's team. They bet it all last year. And that's why I had the Rams in the Super Bowl against the Patriots. And the reason why I took the Rams in the Super Bowl against the Patriots is because they bet it all. They bet it all. They went all in. They brought in Sue. You know, it's like they brought in everybody. It was like
winner now.
They had drafted, and said, we need to fill in these pieces. We're going to pay up, fill these pieces, and today this is our time. You know,
yeah.
And they bet it all. Now they got to break it back down, and now he doesn't have any supporting cast. He's not,
and he's being exposed. It looks like.
I'll tell you this Kyler Murray, who I bad vibed, to hell and back. You put him on that Rams team, I bet you they're winning some football games because he can run for his life out there. You put another quarterback that has some mobility, but Jared Goff, it's just he's making bad decisions, and
he's making very bad decisions.
Yeah. So I mean that Cal education, not quite Aaron Rodgers. Anyways, I like Cincinnati in this game against Memphis. I think they take it physically to them, and I think that they have a chance to win this game. I think this is one that's decided late. Maybe Memphis wins it late. Memphis traditionally really good kickers too. Memphis. So
and Memphis typically starts slow in a game, and then the second half they seem to play well.
There it is. Here, it's our pumpkin pie is here. There it
Bam.
is. There it is.
Maui Pie.
Maui Pie Company. Right
there you go.
Little crust heart there, and also the King's Hawaiian bread rolls all ready to go into the.
Can't go wrong there.
Yes, it's how we do it.
I got a couple Di Filippi's bakery. Carmela, my girlfriend, who owns a really top-notch bakery in New York. I got some blueberry crumb in the trunk of the car right now.
Nice. I'd have some vanilla ice cream ready to go for that.
Scoop of Haagen-Dazs on top of that, no question.
It's automatic. It says only to be served with the ice cream. They should duct tape them together, when they sell them. It's like it comes as one unit,
Right.
The ice cream with the
$24.99 for both.
it's a kit, It's the kit. All right. Apple Cup, Washington State, 6-5 against 6-5. Here's two teams going to bowl games. I expected Washington State to take a step back this year. They've had good quarterbacks in recent years. We knew that they didn't have the experienced quarterbacks this year, and we knew that Mike Leach, he doesn't have the type of program where it's going to be 10 straight years of solid play, but he has something to build on for the future there. But meanwhile, Washington was a team that a lot of people picked to make the playoff.
Yeah, I mean, they've been disappointing.
Jacob Eason, we picked it early about it. He can throw, but he reminds me a lot of Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford.
Yeah.
Especially at that point. But we saw Stafford actually the next year, and maybe Eason stays another year. I'm sure he will.
I don't see him declaring.
We saw Stafford the next year start to grow a little more, and in that bowl game against Michigan State, we saw him really his best performance, and maybe
cemented his number one status, no doubt.
So I'm not saying that it's all over for Eason or Washington, but I'm going to say they're one of the more disappointing teams this season.
I agree.
Washington State in the Apple Cup, they're 0-4 on the road, just 1-3 against the spread, 3-7 against the spread. But once again, the Apple Cup is one of those games that it's like
it's an intense rivalry.
Washington State hasn't covered in a long time. In this
I like Washington here. Chris Peterson, head coach, and Eason. They're both 6-5. We just talked. Washington's been disappointing, but they're the better team. Anthony Gordon, I'd like to shout out the Washington State freshman quarterback. Got off to a sensational start. So, Washington State should become relevant, I would think, in a year or two under Leach and this kid. But right now, I'll take Washington.
Got Michigan and Ohio State. Couple.
It's here. It's finally here.
A couple schools going out of here. Jim Harbaugh, of course, the big story. He's never beaten Ohio State, which makes him the losingest Michigan coach to start his career in the history of this rivalry.
It's going 0-5. The last I saw it was 8.5 spread.
I see it at 9 here.
That's fine. I don't care. I like Ohio State all the way. I've been touting this since I've been appearing on your show. We've been looking forward to this. Ohio State's loaded. I don't care. The game is in the big house. I'll take Ohio State by 10 points.
I love Michigan in this one. And you never hear me say this, and I never have taken Jim Harbaugh in a big game.
Well, I'm shocked you are, but I'm riding the OS.
Never once taken Jim Harbaugh in a big game. But I think you take Michigan here with the points, and I think you also put something on the money line here. Ohio State showed some major weaknesses last week against Penn State. The inability to hold on to the football, and Justin Fields' left hand is still injured. I'm going to guess that it's still going to be injured into this game. If he couldn't hold the ball against Penn State, he's not going to be able to hold on to it at the big house and against Michigan. This Michigan team, as much as I bash Harbaugh and as much as I bash everything, that second half of the Penn State game, all the way through until now, they figured something out, and they've stuck with it, and it has started and has continued to work. The first half of the Penn State game, they were blown out. They had no business being on the field. It was kind of the Michigan team we've become accustomed to seeing. That second half against Penn State, the game against Michigan State, the second half, the game against Notre Dame, the game last week against Indiana in the second half. These guys have figured something out. They're getting better. Ohio State is getting worse. And I think that we're seeing that inverse relationship. I've never been a fan of J.K. Dobbins. I always think that he's too small. I always liked the little guy. I liked Mac Herron. I liked Sproles. I like all those guys. I'm not a fan of Dobbins. I just don't think that he's as good as they make him out to be. They make him out to be like he is.
Well, he's not Archie Griffin by any stretch of the imagination.
He's not even Eddie George. He's nothing.
No. Even though he just surpassed Eddie George in career yardage, but okay. Listen, I think Ohio State is the much better team here. I don't take Harbaugh in a big game until he can.
Ezekiel Elliott or Dobbins?
Oh, well, Zeke, obviously.
Mike Weber or Dobbins?
No, I'd probably, you know what? I'd probably go J.K. Dobbins over Mike Weber. Yeah. And my Dallas Cowboys drafted Mike Weber, and he hasn't seen the field. We drafted Tony Pollard out of Memphis, and Tony Pollard beat Mike Weber out.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. That Memphis grows running backs on trees, man. If you saw Pollard,
it's Memphis. It's not Ohio State.
We took Memphis so many times last year on this show, and we know all about those Memphis running backs, and both of them went over 1,000 yards. I mean, so maybe the rest of the world was surprised. But this was no surprise to us. I mean, just like, Vermont coming within 6 of Virginia in college hoops. It's like the big circle,
Listen, I love Ohio State all the way. I've been saying this all year. I'm not wavering one bit. They're the better team. I don't care if the game's in the big house. I think they win.
I think they're in big trouble here. And,
No, I think the fact that Chase Young is back for Ohio State helps the cause too.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely helps the cause. It's not the defense I'm concerned about. It's the offense. And I think that the Michigan defense is as good as the Ohio State defense. These are number one ranked players from different states across the board on Michigan.
All right, so Justin Fields versus Shea Patterson.
Fields. They don't play against each other.
Okay, and then what are we talking about? Tim Biakabatuka running the ball for Michigan? Are we talking Butch Wolfork?
They got the freshman.
Yeah, they got a freshman against a stout Ohio State defense. And then you're gonna put the ball in Shea Pat. Again, it's a big rivalry game. Michigan's got to win. Like you said, he's 0-4. If Harbaugh loses this game, the alumni of Michigan, I don't care that his legacy is Jim Harbaugh. He's in big trouble. But I just think Ohio State's the better team, and I like them to win by 10 points. I do.
I love Michigan in this one.
Okay.
Let's move on to
disagree.
Let's move on to Georgia Tech, Georgia, clean old-fashioned hate. Let's do it quickly. I just like saying that, clean old-fashioned hate. Georgia favored by 28.
We like saying that once a year, don't we?
Well, we didn't call the game Ohio State and the big game, right? Is Ohio State
big game? Huh?
Big game.
Okay.
But then we got clean old-fashioned.
What is the game? Harvard Yale, probably, right? They probably got
the game is Stanford Cal.
They got the copyright on that.
Yep.
Okay.
So we have Georgia Tech. Georgia favored by 28 points in this thing. I got to go with the Bulldogs here, like the 28.
Georgia Tech stinks this year. Unfortunately, it's a rivalry game. Georgia obviously playing for the number 4 position in the college playoff. They got to make a statement. I'm a little apprehensive of taking Georgia because they don't score a hell of a lot of points. But I think against Georgia Tech they'll whoop them by 30 plus.
Yeah, I think there's some issues here for Georgia, and especially with LSU on tap next week for the Bulldogs. They certainly have a little bit of looking ahead going on, and we'll probably see, because it is the Georgia Tech game and clean old-fashioned hate. We'll probably see some bench players that we haven't seen a lot of this year, and also seniors and things like that, even though it's on the road.
Yeah, I agree.
We go to Purdue, the old Oaken bucket at stake as the Boilers take on the Hoosiers. Indiana 7-4, but man, Tom Allen,
head scratching coach. We talked about it, right?
This doesn't make any sense at all. But the favorite has dominated the series in the old Oaken bucket, and I love Purdue in this game too. But they're 6.5-point dog. But I just think after what I saw last week, it just reaffirmed everything I believed about Tom Allen throughout the years. And I don't understand him.
I think I like the Boilermakers here. I think Indiana, again, Bobby Knight's not coaching this team. It's come out.
It's a cool trophy, the bucket. When you take the bucket out, it's got the
we love the college football tradition of these, trophies.
It has like this chain that comes out of it, like it's Indiana and Purdue, like an I and a P, and it's like this long. I don't even know how long it is or what the chain actually does. Like, it's like, is this like, was the bucket in like a well and the chain was the bucket? I don't even understand how the bucket works, but they do it and then they put the chain around the neck. It's like all kinds of things, and it's the bucket.
I'll take Purdue here. These are two very mediocre teams. I think Indiana's overrated at 7-4.
Battle of the Palmetto State, South Carolina against Clemson. South Carolina plus 27 in this one, 4-7. This is the team that beat Georgia. They go to 4-8, and you hold this against you. You don't hold that loss against Georgia. I'm a little salty about that, to be honest with you. As a college football fan, I think Iowa win over Ohio State.
I think it's to be determined if that's going to be held against them yet, but I love Clemson here. I think Clemson is a very good team, and I see them smoking South Carolina and
the last 5 years plus
in the top 4.
The last 5 years plus, Clemson has started slow and finished strong, and this year is no different.
2 national championships later, so
they have, but it's always been the first half of the season. 10-point wins in really big favored games, or 6-point wins in games that they were favored by a bunch, stumbling against Syracuse and North Carolina State.
And they escaped the North Carolina
right,
game.
And then they get late into the season and they just bury people. And you got the battle of the Bluegrass State, Kentucky up against Louisville, 6-5 for UK, while Louisville, surprising 7-4 this season. Pretty good, you know. We saw them early in the season play, and I can't remember who they played, but they got slaughtered. And here they are bouncing back though to a 7-4. Kentucky, I think 6-5, maybe a little bit disappointing, but still bowl eligible.
Yep. I think I like Louisville here.
Yeah, this is a tough one. Kentucky's favored in this, you know, by 3 points. Maybe it's that SEC, and it's also that Kentucky's been so tough at home. I kind of like the Bill as well.
Yeah, I'll take the points in Louisville.
So this one is for the it's the Sioux. I forget what they call it. The Battle of the Sioux something. It's Illinois versus Northwestern. Illinois favored by 8 points. Lovey's team 6-5. They're going bowling either way. They don't care. Northwestern just 2-9 this season.
What's the spread on this one?
8.
I'll take the Loveys here.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Illinois too. I don't see how Northwestern is only an 8-point dog here. Illinois just doesn't get a lot of credit. They, you know, even the games that they've lost this year, they've been competitive. That game at Iowa, they covered.
Oh yeah.
Got Syracuse plus,
and they played Michigan tough.
Here's another, you know, coach that makes a lot of money. Syracuse up against Wake Forest. You know, Syracuse 4-7 coming into the season. They're going to give him a pass because of the quarterback situation, because he's done okay in the past, I guess.
Yeah, listen, Dino had a good year last year. He gets a pass this year.
They're going to give him a pass. I do think so because of the recruiting efforts.
Yep.
But just 1-4 against the spread at home doesn't get it really done with the Syracuse. You know, it's, I don't know. I think they'll let it go for now.
I do too.
We'll let it go for
now. I think Wake Forest this year is the better team. I have no problem taking the Demon Deacons here.
Yeah, the Demon Deacons have been horrible on the road. Syracuse horrible at home. I still like Wake as well. I'm going to go with Wake.
Yep.
I don't know. This game doesn't seem right to me. Like, why is Syracuse playing Wake Forest in Week 12? It just doesn't even.
Yeah, you're right.
It's kind of like,
it's an odd matchup.
It doesn't even do it for me. So we got my Miami Hurricanes really coming off one of the worst losses that you'll ever see against Duke. Duke is 4-7 on the season. Really, just it's like when they beat Virginia Tech at Virginia Tech, it looked like they were off to the races. And then it just didn't happen. Meanwhile, Miami coming off of a loss to FIU in a game where the rules will be changed of college football. Miami is involved in like more rule change games than any other team in college football history, and they were involved in a rule change game last week for sure. I mean, they were the ones like when we saw Mason Rudolph get hit over the head with the helmet. Miami was like, the college football already has a rule for that, you know, and because of the Miami FIU games, right? You know, it's like they already have a rule for it.
Your Honor, I refer to the Miami college game.
Oh, yeah. It's like a lawyer citing cases,
exactly.
You know?
Exact case law.
So he's dancing in the end zone. No dancing in the end zone. See Miami, Texas. You know, right. It's like Maurice Crum in Miami, Texas. Like, penalty on number 49. He was dancing in the end zone.
That's right. You know what? I still can't believe that Miami lost to FIU.
It wasn't even. The thing is, I can't believe the score. It's not even right. That they.
Right? What an anomaly!
It's unbelievable. It happens though. I mean, Duke lost to Fairleigh Dickinson last night. It happens.
Hey, Duke lost to Stephen F. Austin. In basketball.
I like Duke. I like Duke here. Plus, that's what I meant. Stephen F. Austin and Kentucky lost to Evansville. That's 24-point favorite. I like Duke plus the points in this one against Miami. I think Miami wins.
I think Miami rebounds. I think Miami's a better team.
I do too, but 9 points is a ton.
I think Miami's been embarrassed, and I think Manny Diaz is going to get his canes. And in fact, there may be some suspensions from your Hurricane players in this game, beaten up on the geeks.
We got Kansas up against Baylor. Baylor 10-1 on the season. Kansas 3-8. Look, we've seen some really bright moments from Kansas this year that we could see that it could happen there, but It's not happening now. Baylor just looks like they have a chip on their shoulder. They're still mad about that Oklahoma game.
I love Baylor here.
And how about Mims? You think Mims is an NFL wide receiver? I think for Baylor.
Yeah, why not?
I like Baylor in this one a lot.
Yeah, the hat has a lot of work to do at Kansas to make them even.
I think so. I think you start to see it. Later on in the season. But of course, this is our college football show, and we talk about other sports in my normal live show, 10 a.m. Eastern time, each and every day. Of course, Friday we do college football free for all. That will have to be early too, because we got, or we do college and pro football for free for all. But that will either be early or during games. I guess it's going to be one of the
whatever works.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Tomorrow morning, I guess we'll let you guys know. Michigan State taking on Maryland. Michigan State 5-6 on the season. They need a win here against the Terps. Terps terrible on the road. We've seen some good football of them early in the season, and now they're 3-8. Another major conference team that's not going to a bowl game. If they win this game, then you got Michigan State on the outside looking in too. And 6-6 in the Big Ten these days gets you to a New Year's Day bowl. It's like that's how lousy they've been in this conference. So
I love Michigan State here, and I'll repeat. I'm hearing tea leaves that Mark D'Antoni will probably leave Michigan State after a long run there, and if his players know that or even sniff that to get bowl eligible, I love Michigan State here. They're the better team. Maryland is a very disappointing team.
I'll take Maryland 22.5 points against an offense that can't score. I don't care who you are. I'll take Maryland. We go to
Michigan State is going to be motivated.
We go to Auburn. The Tigers taking on Alabama. We got the Iron Bowl.
This is a good one.
Yep. This is one of many good ones.
What do we got? 3 points here?
3 points, Auburn.
The fact that Alabama's got to go to Auburn here, again, there's hatred. This is like a real intense rivalry across the country. I think I'm going to take Auburn in the points here. Alabama going on the road. Mac Jones' first road start. I don't think Alabama is as good as advertised. I think Auburn will be up 3 losses aside, and I'll take the Auburn Tigers here.
I'm going to take Auburn as well. I just think that pass rush against Jones is too much. I don't think they've have the depth that they've had in the past. And I think this Auburn defense in particular was built to beat Alabama. And I picked Auburn to win the SEC at the beginning of the season. I don't think it was that far of a stretch. They ended up with 3 losses. If they lose this game, they'll have 4. But if you look at who the losses are to and where those games were played, they were all on the road against the beasts.
I mean, there's nothing. There's no such thing as good loss. But listen, they lost to some good teams this year.
They lost to the best teams. They lost to the losses were to Florida at Florida. They lost to LSU at LSU.
Yep.
And they lost Georgia.
Yep.
So that one was home. That one was home.
Yeah, but still, I mean, you're talking about really good competition that they lost.
Absolutely, the best of the best. But I like Auburn as well. We go to Minnesota. I believe the Badgers, if they win, they go to the Big Ten championship game to take on Ohio State. We already saw that game this season. It was not a good game.
Exactly. And I would expect it not to be a good game, too.
Yeah, I expect it to be a worse game this time around. Minnesota, though, is the team that's 10-1.
Yeah, I got to take the Flexters here at home. I think they got a lot to play for. They've shown they're a good team. Jonathan Taylor aside, the fact that Minnesota's home here, it's a low point spread, and in fact, Wisconsin's favored. I'll take Minnesota here.
I like the Flexters also. We got inverse line movement going the other way, but I just don't see it. I don't see it.
Neither do I.
I don't see the Wisconsin offense being able to do enough. I like the Wisconsin defense, but I don't see Taylor running on this Minnesota team. I think Flexter does something where kind of stops.
Not going to game plan for Taylor all the way, no doubt.
We got a 4-7 Stanford team hosting Notre Dame here. The Cardinal plus 16.5 big ones at home against Notre Dame. 9-2, looking at a New Year's Day bowl game. So if Georgia loses to LSU next week and Auburn beats Alabama this week, will Notre Dame be screaming that they should get in over Baylor or Utah? Or
I mean, they can scream all they want, and again, because it's Notre Dame, marquee, and then traveling, and blah blah blah, and the Subway alumni. That being said, I think Notre Dame wins the game, but Stanford always typically plays them tough, and games in California, it's too many points for me. I don't care if Stanford's 4-7. David Shaw is a good coach. I'll take Stanford. I'd like Notre Dame to win the game, but I'll take the points in Stanford here.
I'll take Stanford as well. I think it's the same thing, exactly what you said. It's like we saw it last year against USC in the last game of the season, where USC all of a sudden, did just enough to cover in that game. Backdoor at the end of the game. Tennessee, 6-5, going bowling. I think one of the better stories this season, and certainly something to look forward to for next year. Never thought they'd be so excited about a 6-win season at Tennessee, and I don't know how excited they are, but if they can be,
they should be. You know what?
It's been a little bit of a thorn in their side in recent years, and I think they get a chance to get even with them here. It's 21 points, but it's not a good Vandy team.
Yeah, I love Tennessee here. I mean, they got off to, probably the worst start of a major college football program this year. There was a lot of dissension. Jeremy Pruitt, to his credit, rallied the troops and become bowl eligible. I say they continue to roll, especially against a Vandy team. So I like Tennessee, definitely covering.
I'm going to take Tennessee as well in this one. I think that they're playing the best football I've seen from a Tennessee team in a long time.
In a while, sure.
We go to Eugene, Oregon, where the Ducks are taking on the Beavers in Civil War. These two teams, they hate each other.
Now that's a great rivalry.
These are two teams that really hate each other's guts. This is a rivalry that is such a heated rivalry that they almost had to stop the rivalry because it's so out of hand. And I know for a lot of people, it's kind of like one of those in the upper corner of the country, and it's not, the feature game on ESPN or anything like that. And I don't even know if this game's even on ESPN or Fox or whatever, but this is one where these teams, they're going to do something that the fan base and administration isn't going to like. I mean, the fan base might like it, but the administration...
There'll be extra security at this game.
There will be extra security at this game. These teams do not like each other at all. They don't sit around and say, we dislike them. It's not that type of game. It's more the Draymond Green, we hate them. They might dislike us. That's what he said about Michigan. They dislike us. I hate them.
That's a great. That's one of the best quotes in recent memory. Too.
Oh, definitely. It was one of my favorites. Draymond Green. When he walked off the court of that game, it's just like they dislike us. I hate them.
Love it too. But 19 is the last spread I saw.
Yeah, 19 and a half I've seen.
19 and a half. Obviously, Oregon coming off their upset loss to the Herm Edwards. To your point, they hate each other. I think Oregon absolutely wins the game, but I'll tell you what, I'll take Oregon State in the points here.
I like Oregon State in the points as well, and I think they have a chance to win this game. They need the win to become bowl eligible.
Yep.
So a lot at stake here for Oregon State. Go to
Justin Herbert's last game before the bowl game, and then most likely top 1 or 2 pick in the NFL draft.
Yeah, I mean, if Auburn beats Alabama, they're going to really be salty. They're going to be extra salty because they would have been there. It would have been there to lose. I want to see if that Civil War. They put it on the Pac-12 network. They try to hide it because it's like we don't want anybody to even see this.
Right.
That's what they usually do to LSU, Texas A&M. Let's just stick it on the.
Let's go regional here. Let's
SEC
go
network. We're gonna put this on the SEC network because we don't need it out there.
I agree.
You know, that's what they do.
Yep.
Speaking of which, Texas A&M LSU. I'm sure this one's on the SEC network. I didn't even look. But last year, they stuck this thing on the SEC network, and we saw, they put it right on ESPN after last year's 6 overtime game. There was some of the craziest officiating calls in the history of crazy officiating calls in that LSU Texas A&M overtime game last year. This was a rule change game. They just figured that there is such a thing as too much overtime. You know, it's like, so now it's after, I believe, 3 overtimes or 4 overtimes. I'm not exactly sure. I don't know. But you get to a certain number of overtimes, 3 overtimes, 4 overtimes. No more starting at the 25-yard line and doing it. It's basically just you get a 2-point conversion play, I get a 2-point conversion. You get one, I get one. And you just do the 2-point conversions until someone stops somebody and the other team scores. That's
nice. So we can all go home.
Yeah, so we can all go home. I still like Gary Sheffield's idea for extra innings in baseball. Let the manager pick who's going to come up to hit every single inning. And he goes, the game will be over very, very quickly. That's why people are like, oh, he's such a good pitcher. Yeah, whatever. It's like, yeah, because he doesn't face this kind of lineup, you know? It's
That's
like,
right. Yeah.
You know, why is Kershaw's ERA in the postseason worse than it is in the regular season? Because he's not playing against the Padres, you know?
Exactly. He's not playing against AAA batters. That's right.
It's like, I mean, I'm not saying Kershaw's not a good pitcher or anything like
that.
I'm just saying
that. Disclaimer, Hall of Fame bound.
Yeah.
Absolutely, hands down.
We saw Verlander get rocked, you know, in the postseason. We've seen, you know, I mean, he even knew, like, what the other guy ate for lunch. They had spies on his Facebook page or something.
Right.
So I think Facebook could hear that I said that. Now they put an ad up for spying your equipment, right? It's like it's weird. It's like they almost hear you.
Right. But you know what? Texas A&M has played well all year, and again, back to like Auburn we talked about. They've had some tough losses against good competition, right? Jimbo Fisher's done a pretty good job there. I think he's overpaid. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a huge Jimbo Fisher fan. But LSU has a lot to play for. I think it's a lot of points. I think LSU wins, but I'll take Texas A&M and the points here. I think it's a lot of points.
I'm going to go with LSU. I just think that A&M coming off of that tough game in the mud against Georgia last week, I think that just took it out of them. Texas A&M, I've been critical of Jimbo Fisher. I've been critical of just about everybody, but except for myself, because I can dish it out.
Well, we do. That's what we do.
I can dish it out, but I can't take it, right? But Jim, I mean, you look at Texas A&M, the 4 losses, you know, and you know, this is where, you know, we just said it about Auburn, and you know, Alabama doesn't play this schedule that Texas A&M plays, so they're playing LSU here, okay? But the 4 losses: Alabama, Auburn, Clemson, because they're out of conference. And they played Alabama, Auburn, Clemson, and Georgia are their 4 losses. And now they play LSU. They're going to play, if Alabama beats Auburn, they're going to play, if Alabama beats Auburn, or if Georgia beats LSU, they will have played 3 of the 4 teams in the national championship playoff. They're going to play. Texas A&M is going to play 4 of the top 5 teams in the country. I mean, after this game, they will have played 4 of the top 5 teams, if you go by the rankings in the country, and that's their losses.
And listen, I've touted Joe Burrow all year. I think he's going to win the Heisman Trophy. LSU is obviously one of the top 2 teams in the country. But I think Texas A&M plays hard, and I think LSU obviously is going to win the game. But I'll take the points here. I don't think Texas A&M is going to roll over here. I'll take the Aggies.
I think they're tired at this point.
I'm sure they are.
We got Kansas State against Iowa State. Pretty interesting game. Iowa State is favored in this one.
Yeah.
Kansas State, they never don't show up. Iowa State has had some head scratchers this year.
Yeah.
Kansas State, senior day.
I love the Wild. I like Kansas State.
I like Kansas State too here as the home dog, but the problem, we got inverse line movement in this one. 61% on Kansas State, and they've gone to +3 to +4.5. So what that means is you've got a public underdog, and that is normally death. Public underdog, death. Oh, I really think that, Bucknell's going to beat Duke. Yeah.
I love the Bison here. I love the Bison.
I love them. It's like when you take Wofford, in the NCAA tournament every year, and it's like you can't take them in your bracket. You take them plus the 15.5. It's like not in the bracket. It's like that's why I've won the bracket, the Vegas bracket twice, and both years were the years that there was a crazy thing happened in the tournament. I won the year that VCU played Butler in the Final Four, right? So all I had to do was hit the other half. And, what was the default back then, that year that happened? Always take Kentucky, right? Always take Kentucky. And the other default was UConn. Right? These were the two teams. They got Kemba Walker. I'm going to go with Kemba Walker in Kentucky to go to the Final Four. They played in the Final Four. And then the other side, nobody hit anything. VCU played Butler. Nobody had that.
Nobody.
No, I had those teams going a little further than everybody else. VCU was the play-in team that year. And I had them going dead Shaka. And
I was just going to say, that's when Shaka came on the scene as vice head coach at Texas right now.
Right. I was a little bit ahead of the curve on that one, and I ended up winning. And then the next year, Butler went again or they had gone the year before I had won.
Yeah,
they had gone against Duke.
Brad Stevens and
Gordon Hayward, where he rattled the rim on the last shot of the game.
Yeah.
And in Jersey, right? In Jersey.
In Jersey. Yeah, that's correct.
Anyways, speaking of Jersey, we got NC State against North Carolina here. The Wolfpack +10 at home in this thing. You want to talk about wheels falling off the cart? They happened at NC State this season. This was a team they can win games at home. They don't cover at home. 2-4, 1-9 against the spread. That doesn't get your coach fired. Nothing will, or at least you might have a conversation with some people. There's some people
with the trustees.
There's some people here to see you. Mac Brown's team 5-6 on the season, a win away from bowl eligibility, 10-point favorites on the road in a rivalry game. I don't love that.
I don't love the point spread, but I love that Mac Brown's the coach and that they have motivation to be bowl eligible. I'll take the heels here.
I'm gonna take NC State plus the points.
Okay.
Keep rolling right along. We got a really nice schedule this week. I mean, everybody's playing, so it's like that's why it's a long show. We're almost done now. We got Florida versus Florida State. I know this game. I know a lot of people are familiar with this game, and Florida State has a thing in Tallahassee. It's called the War Drum, and if you've ever been to a Florida State game, if you've ever seen anything, they've just for days before the game they start beating this drum. But for the Florida game, they start a full week ahead. So it's just, if you go to the Florida State campus, non-stop, 24 hours a day. It'd drive you crazy, but they do it. Everyone takes turns. They people. It's kind of, Florida's 17.5-point favorites, and so we've seen some wild games in this series. Florida State, Willie Taggart was fired, 6-5 this season. They're going to a bowl game. Florida 9-2, the two losses. LSU on the road, Georgia in the cocktail party. No shame in that. I'm anti-Dan Mullen, but I have to say, I think he puts it to the Noles in this one.
Yeah, I'm all in on Florida here, too. We're drumming.
Utah hosting Colorado. Oh, boy, man. Last week, I had one of those rough college football Saturdays, but the last game of the night was Utah, and I had them, and it was kind of like, oh, man, nothing went my way. I was covering with, BYU against UMass, and they decided to stop playing. I had Cincinnati was covering. They decided to stop playing. I had Indiana against Michigan, they were covering. Tom Allen coached me out of cover. I mean, I had everything going. Ohio State, they fumble. They were covering, and they don't cover. I had everything go against me, but then it was like, breathe a sigh of relief. Utah took care of business. 28-point favorites here against Montez and the Buffalo. Once again, we have another major conference team who's probably going to lose. 28-point dogs, 5-6 on the season. So this is why you could hear how many times I've said this so far on the show. Do they have enough teams for these bowl games? Do you elevate for some of the bowl alliance games they're allied with a certain conference? Do some people get elevated up to the next level? I think we're going to see that this season. A few years ago, UCLA made it to a bowl game at 5-7. I haven't heard any rumblings or how this fills out, but I mean, we start looking at these numbers and maybe it happens again. 28-point favorites for Utah. I think they run them. I think Utah wins by 50.
I'm loving this all the way. I think Utah's a really good team. I've watched them, maybe 3 or 4 times throughout the year, late at night. Big fan of the coach. We've seen Colorado lay eggs here all year. They stink. I like Utah kicking ass here.
Well, here's the question, for Utah. If they win, if Alabama loses, they win, and LSU beats Georgia, is Utah in? Is Oklahoma in? Something's going to have to give here, You can't put Alabama in even though they want them with 2 losses. You can't do it,
No, at 2 losses, absolutely no way
out. You can't put Georgia in with 2 losses.
Nope.
We look at Utah. The one loss was at USC. It was not a good loss, but it was a 7-point loss. It was a lot. I would say
it's not the worst of losses.
No, they were 3.5-point favorites, so it wasn't like they were 40-point favorites or something and didn't do it. I would say that losing to USC on the road is way less damaging than losing to South Carolina at home. So
I agree.
Right? I mean,
I wholeheartedly agree, actually, on that.
That could be the game that saves Clay Helton's job for another year. That could be the one.
And if Utah wins by 30 plus points, in this next game, they got a good argument. Again, depending how things shake out, across the country. So but they're going to play in a main bowl game. That's for damn sure on New Year's Day. Well deserved.
Here, Oklahoma State hosting Oklahoma. This game is in Stillwater this year. Boone Pickens Stadium. Of course, Boone Pickens not there to see the game. He's dead.
The late Boone Pickens.
Yes, the late Boone Pickens.
Rest in peace, Boone.
Rest in peace. I didn't mean it in a. I didn't mean it.
No, absolutely. Guy loved his university and he spread a lot of cash around that campus. That's for sure.
He absolutely did. I just think that I know this is a pretty good Sooners team. I don't think this is a great Sooners team.
I like Oklahoma State. I like Oklahoma to win, but there's too many points. Last I saw it was 13.5. It's a rivalry game. Come on, these are Midwest. You know what I mean? These guys.
This is not Midwest. This is Southwest.
I didn't mean Midwest. I just meant, this is a rivalry in-state Oklahoma game. I'll take the points in Oklahoma State here.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Oklahoma State on the money line. I think they beat them outright this year. I really don't like this Sooners team. I don't like Jalen Hurts, and a lot of people like the Jalen Hurts story and like how he transferred from Alabama and all that other stuff, but I don't buy into it. I like Oklahoma State here. I think the mullet gets the win outright.
No, I think Oklahoma wins. And again, Oklahoma's been winning by the skin of their chin of their hair of their chinny chin. So I'll take Oklahoma State in points.
Arizona taking on Arizona State. Herm Edwards' team pulling off the big upset against Oregon last week, and now they're home once again taking on Arizona. Arizona 4-7 on the season. Kevin Sumlin didn't get it turned around. The home team has covered the last 5 times, but this has been a doggy series. 11-4, the dog in the last 15. This is one that you throw the record book out, man. I've been in the sports books in Vegas for this one. Normally I'm in Vegas for Thanksgiving weekend, and this is the first time in a long time I haven't been. And normally I'm in Vegas because I want to see all these games there. And I've spent many a day in this sports book with people doing Arizona chants that I didn't even know existed. I only learned the Arizona chants. Arizona. It's like I thought that was Derek Jeter, man. It's like right. It's like I always thought that chant was Derek Jeter, but it's not. It's Arizona.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess that came before Jeter too. But still not better than Jeter. I'm just saying.
I'll take the play to win the game, guys of the Sun Devils here.
6-5 for Herm. Not a blowout, great year, but a good year. And I think
think a good year for his first year back in college. Second, but he's still.
I think he's got things going in the right direction. I think he does, and I think he's enjoying himself.
Yeah.
He's got some
NFL players on his coaching staff.
I'm going to take ASU too. Kevin Sumlin teams in the second half of the season always wilt. One more. We'll do one more. Cal against UCLA. This game doesn't make any sense to me. Here's one where the numbers don't add up. UCLA favored by a point, 4-7. We've seen them up against the physical teams, and they've gotten beaten up. When they play the physical teams, when they play
boy, do they give up a lot of points.
When they play the Colorados and the Flair teams, they're okay. But here against Cal, I don't see it. UCLA's 4-7. Chip Kelly, though, I think he might have bought himself another year.
No, he did. There's no question. They've invested too much in him.
They're not quick trigger pullers at UCLA. Jim Margino was there for a long time.
They're not. What, are they going to bring Rick Neuheisel back, for Christ's sakes?
Rick Neuheisel, I love. There's a couple coaches that I've coached at UCLA that I've really had a good time with. Rick Neuheisel is one of my favorite guys to bash because we always look at his record with other people's players and his record with his own players, which is no matter where he's been has always been hideous. Colorado, same thing. It was like the longer he's at a program, the worse his record gets. So, and that's Neuheisel. And then the other coach, Steve Alford, who was at UCLA, who's just, I don't understand how you could give that guy that job. I don't see it. UCLA, of course, playing right down the street for me today against BYU.
Yep. But I'll take the Bruins here. I think Cal's not very good, and I think UCLA will get a win for Chip Kelly, to your point, and they'll go into the off season and high expectations, whatever that may mean for next year.
I love Cal. I'm going to take Cal. And,
I'm taking the Bruins.
I think they beat him up. Anyways, I'll do a quick recap here. We covered a lot of ground. I got Ole Miss. Steve's got Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl. He took Virginia. I took Virginia Tech. He took Texas. I took Texas Tech. We both love Iowa against Nebraska.
Yep.
Steve likes Washington. I like Washington State in the Apple Cup. I like Michigan on the money line. Steve likes Ohio State. We both like Georgia laying the big points and clean old-fashioned hate. Last time maybe we'll get to say it again on Saturday. We both like Clemson, Louisville, Illinois, Wake. Steve likes Miami. I like Duke, but with the points, I think Miami wins a 4-point game. We both like Baylor. I like Maryland. Steve likes Michigan State and what he feels could be Mark D'Antonio's sign-off game. I rumored the Luke Fickell during that Cincinnati-Memphis, which I didn't write down on here. We both kind of liked Cincinnati there, plus the points.
Yeah.
I think the game could go either way, but I like Cincinnati plus the points. We both like Auburn in the Iron Bowl against Alabama. We both like the Flexter and the Gophers. We took Stanford to just kind of get it done against Notre Dame plus the big points. Tennessee in the nice comeback story of the year. We both took Oregon State plus. Oh, Steve took Oregon. I took Oregon State in Civil War.
I took the Beavers too.
We both took Oregon State in the Civil War. LSU, for me, Steve took Texas A&M. I think Texas A&M is just too beaten up at this point. Well, LSU is.
I got A&M in the points.
LSU. We both love Kansas State. I like NC State plus the points at home. Steve took UNC. We both love Utah. Steve likes Oklahoma. I like Gundy on the money line there with Oklahoma State. So I like
I like Oklahoma State.
Oh, did you?
I did.
All right. Yeah. We both like Arizona State. I like Cal. Steve likes UCLA. So I got a correction there on that one. Correction there on that one. So I don't think Oregon State wins outright. I just think they win with the points.
No, I do too. I think they
Anyways, it was a 2-sheeter today.
Nice.
Anyways, this is Mitch with Steve.
Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Enjoy your turkey day tomorrow, and you and I will reconvene in the morning tomorrow, correct?
Steve will be on my 10 a.m. show, and we'll do some NFL. Probably we won't do the full card. We'll probably just do the 3 NFL games that are on tomorrow. Plus, we'll do whatever questions are. Just a half-hour show like normal, but Steve will be with me for the NFL games. And then Friday, which normally our football free-for-all, we'll probably cover the NFL and answer your questions at the same time, which should be a very well-organized show. I just really think so. And maybe we'll have to refer to some of this stuff here. And, I really think I would enjoy myself at this. It's like the best thing is like if they had
I got 48 hours to readjust my attitude. Is that what you're telling me?
I think that a more fun seminar to attend than how to supervise the bad attitudes and negative behaviors. I think the better seminar would be the one that they sent the people with the bad attitude and negative behavior. If they sent all these people, like you have the procrastinator, it's like, oh, we got to go back. Lunch is over. I'll be there in 5 minutes.
Can we get any volunteers, Mitch? Mitch, would you like to come up and do a role play here?
I love the Smartypants. Challenges your management authority, openly and forcefully, constantly questions management decisions, and creates harmful. I love this part. The harmful undercurrent of anti-management chatter. The short changer, everyone knows this guy too. Late to work, early to leave, stretched lunches, extended breaks. I invented the extended break. This person makes an art of shortening and shortchanging the workday while leaving coworkers holding the bag. Left me holding the bag again. I'm always I'm the late for the van guy. Like everybody goes, like the class field trip. It's like, where the hell are they?
You're still in the bathroom? What the hell is going on here?
It's like, let's ride the roller coaster one more time. It's like,
make it.
They'll wait. All right, everybody. I enjoy it every show. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great night.
Have a great night. Thanks, Mitch.